What is good, guys? It's Rey-Jay back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down what's going on with Tesla, SPY, Nvda, the QQQ, and a couple of other tickers. I'll break down what the news is saying about the stock market, what you should be watching for as time progresses, and what's happening with Tesla in particular. But before I break anything down about all this information, before I get into any more details, let me just mention a couple of things. I am personally not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out the Weeble link, which is down below and in the description. If you sign up for Weeble, the link down below, and deposit any amount of money into the account, you are guaranteed up to 12 free stocks. Now, this offer ends in just 12 days, so check it out before they run out. Anyways, let's break down what's going on with the market and Tesla. So Tesla's sinking very, very hard right now, as we didn't really beat on earnings. We saw Tesla miss on EPS and revenue, and there's a lot of fear basically coming out involving this stock. The question is, how will Tesla move? How will the market move moving forward? And what should you be watching for as time goes on? For earnings, we saw AT&T beat on earnings. We have TSM also giving us mixed earnings. And besides that, most of these are beats. Even Union Pacific had mixed earnings, but we also saw beats left and right from like Snap-on. Not to mention Texas Capital also did relatively well. So very, very mixed earnings overall. Not too crazy so far. And I will talk more about the earnings coming out later on. But don't forget that from yesterday, we saw Netflix, which ended up getting us some very, very nice growth for subscribers. But however, Tesla was the weak one from yesterday, which caused a slowdown. So when it comes to today, when it comes to data affecting the markets, we have initial jobless claims coming out. It came out at 198,000, so a little bit lower than expectations. But besides that, all the data was very close to expectations. And now we basically have Jefferson from the Fed giving a speech right now. We have existing home sales data coming out. And finally, we have Jerome Powell giving a speech around noon Eastern time. So whatever Powell says is going to cause some volatility, in my opinion. Make sure you guys are ready for this, and we'll see what Powell says as time goes on. Now, the 10-year Treasury yield is continuing to soar, so we're going to be watching to see how this affects the markets. This tends to be a bearish signal. We have the tale of two earnings, right? We have Tesla and Netflix that came out. Netflix saw some good subscriber growth, but Tesla was a little bit on the weaker end after missing on EPS and revenue, and because of some bearish things that Elon Musk said. Uh, Part of why the 10-year is super, super high is because the 30-year fixed mortgage rate hit 8% on Wednesday morning. With that happening, we saw, this is having a big effect on the yields, which is affecting the stock market. And besides that, there's just more talk involving Israel. It's affecting the markets for now. Now, when it comes to Tesla, many analysts are cutting their targets. There's a lot of fear, once again, making up the stock. And to go forward, Tesla, they do have some very, very ambitious targets, such as meeting their 1.8 million vehicle delivery goal. But unfortunately, they missed on EPS and revenue. And they mentioned that more, potential price cuts can be happening. They talked about potential delays in the Giga Mexico and things like that I talked about yesterday. So Tesla is continuing to sink very hard, and now I just want to break down some very important levels. So as far as Tesla goes, I'm very bullish on Tesla long term, even medium term. I think Tesla will bounce, but for the short term, I am leaning more bearish because you have to remember that Tesla has a gap down here. It's a little hard to see. So I'm actually going to switch over to Webull on the daily chart and just show you where the gap is. So on the daily, you can actually see the gap too. When I zoom out, let's just zoom right here. Tesla, excuse me, sorry guys. Tesla has this very, very big gap down here. It's all the way down here around this 215 area. So I believe Tesla's bound to fill this gap very, very soon, and it's going to try to bounce after that. I think that if Tesla breaks 225, that's going to be another bearish signal for the stock. So I do believe it's going to fill this gap. I think there's more downside coming, but before the downside comes, here's how I think it's going to move. So as far as Tesla goes, right now we're seeing some buyers stepping in. They're trying to push it back towards 230. I think it's just going to barely make it there, or it's going to come just short, maybe hit 227 to 228. Possibly 230, but I'm not too confident about that. So I think it's just going to fail. Then it's going to retest 225. It's just going to continue sinking. If we lose 225, watch 224. We have an entire zone of support. If we lose that, it's going to come all the way down to 220. Then eventually come down to fill its gap into the 210s. So watch those supports carefully. I think Tesla's going to try to rebound a tiny bit, see some buyers attempts to fight, but then it's just going to continue sinking as sellers will step in early on. As far as SPY goes, I believe that SPY is attempting to rebound, however, which is stronger than Tesla. I think that 432 to 433 is a target to watch. We're going to see a lot of chop up here. And then it's just going to get a big reaction after Jerome Powell gives his speech at noon. So watch for 432 to 433. Lots of chop after that and see if the market continues to push up or if we get that rejection. It all depends on Jerome Powell. If we're at 432 and Powell gives his speech, if he gives us a rug pull, we could see SPY sink towards the 427 area. If he gives us a big pump, we could see 434 plus for 436. My guts tells me we're just going to chop around for the time being, pump a little bit, then just chop around, and we'll see what happens after that. On the QQQ, I believe the same thing is bound to happen. I think the QQQ is going to chop around 365 to 366, and then if Powell gives us a pump, 368 is a possibility. If Powell gives us a rug pull, 362 is coming. Watch for a little pump and then some very choppy price action after that. I'll always be watching to see how this ends up affecting the market as time goes on. So watch for a little pump and then some more choppy price action, and then we're going to see how Jerome Powell affects us from there. For Nvda stock, this is also trying to rebound towards this 430 area. Could go a little higher towards 432, but then we're going to be watching some choppy price action after that. If Powell gives us a really big pump, we could see this thing try to make its way back up towards 440. If Powell gives us the rug pull, we could see this sink towards this trend line all the way down to 416. But I believe it's just going to pop a little bit first and then chop around, and then Powell's going to cause an even bigger move as time goes on. The market does tend to move a lot when he speaks, and it works in his advantage to be a bit more hawkish because the current jobs numbers have been quite strong. And on top of that, retail sales have been stronger than expected simultaneously. As far as Aapl goes, Aapl is once again trying to push for 176.5. If it breaks this, then 177 is a possibility, but I think Aapl will just kind of like chop around as well, as we have this head and shoulders and we're looking more bearish overall. So it may pop, but then eventually drop in the future. Maybe Jerome Powell or some other factor is going to cause a sell-off. So we're going to be watching this very, very carefully. The market's trying to rebound in the morning, but I do believe that there's going to be a lot of chop coming and some potential downside as time perpetuates. So please, please, please make sure you watch these levels very carefully and you're prepared for what's about to happen. All right, so just as one final reminder, and I forgot to mention this, after Powell gives his speech at noon, we have even more Fed speakers after that. At 1:20, we have another Fed speaker. Also at 1:30, we have like Barr and Bostic, Harker, and Logan all giving speeches after the market ends up closing. So we have basically 3 more Fed speakers during the open hours after Powell. So a bunch of Fed speakers. Let's see what they cause. And until they start speaking, thank you all so much for listening. So don't forget about Tesla, guys. We have a much larger head and shoulders like pattern that is still developing. And it is looking more bearish. We have a very bearish looking daily candle. More downside is going to likely come. So make sure you watch these levels very carefully. All right, guys, that's it. Thank you for listening. Have a good one. And I'll see you guys later on for the next update. Thanks and peace out.